Welcome to Sister Sessions, a podcast where two sisters on very different journeys explore what it means to live spiritually in today's world. My sister, Jenny Fairbank, is the co-founder and spiritual director of Wisdom Pathways, a yoga and meditation teacher, and a somatic healer devoted to guiding others toward inner peace. And I'm Susie Gustin, a mom of three, producer and owner of Red City Live Entertainment, embracing life's joys while searching for deeper meaning. Together, we have honest, relatable conversations about finding balance, purpose, and connection in everyday life. So settle in. You are exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Sister Sessions. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sister Sessions podcast, where we get divine and real. My name is Susie Gustin, and I am here with my co-host and sister, Jenny Fairbank.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Jenny. I'm so excited about today's episode, so I'm just going to get right to it. Today, we do have a guest on our show that we are very, very excited to talk with. Our guest is someone who understands healing from the inside out, not just as a professional, but as a human who has lived through the body's most demanding initiations. Zahira is a trauma-informed counselor, intuitive coach, and somatic guide who helps people uncover the unconscious patterns and nervous system responses that shape their lives. She works with emotional, energetic, and physical layers that often get overlooked, helping people release, rewire, and reclaim their sense of agency. And she's also a cancer survivor. Her experience with illness changed not just her body, but her values, her relationships, and the way she thinks about being alive. Today, she brings a perspective that is both deeply compassionate and refreshingly honest about what it takes to rebuild yourself, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, on the other side of a major health crisis. We're going to talk about trauma, the body, resilience, identity, and what happens when survival becomes a lifestyle instead of a temporary phase, and what it takes to break that pattern. So please help us welcome Zahira to the Sisters Sessions studio.
Hello.
Hello, Zahira. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was such a beautiful introduction, Susie. Thank you.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well deserved.
It brings tears to my
Funny
eyes.
how I still am not used to the label of cancer survivor. So that was interesting, just noticing what that was like for me to hear it.
What was it like for you to hear it?
It's a great question.
Yeah, I think what I know about myself now that I'm a year and a half post-treatment, there was so much dissociation that I went through in order to do the treatment and the physical pain I was in. And so this season is me coming back into my body fully and embodying and acknowledging what really happened to me. Because a lot of it is a blur. Over a year of it is a huge blur. And, so it's interesting. And I wanted to come on today to talk about this because that was, I believe, Spirit told me that this was part of the continuing healing, is for me to talk and share my experience and what I learned. As a counselor, I'm here to help people. I want to improve humanity while I'm here. And if my experience can help even just one person, then I hit the target.
You know, I was telling Jenny Zahira that I think that this is really going to be one of our most important episodes. I mean, you hear so many people talk about, surviving cancer. And I know personally, I have talked to a few people who have gone on the other side of having cancer, and they've stated nobody realizes what it's like after. It's like everyone's so happy for you, and of course you're happy that you've overcome the disease, but at the same time there's things that people don't understand after you get through the healing part of it. So I think that would be such an amazing thing. It is going to be
Mm,
an amazing thing for you to share your wisdom and inspiration to our listeners out there who maybe are going through it, have gone through it, or know somebody that they love that is, and they can more fully understand their position right now, which would be so helpful. And if we can start with, I would just like to talk about, your work as a professional. And for listeners that maybe are just tuning into Sister Sessions for the first time and haven't really, delved into the types of things that we talk about, can you explain to our listeners what it means to be a somatic guide?
yes, thank you. That's a great question, and I'm still learning. So my professional training has been primarily in psychology, cognitive behavior therapy. I was a marriage counselor for years and did individual counseling, and it's all about changing your mind and your perspectives and opening up and seeing different ways of thinking, even though maybe your circumstances don't change. And so when I began my journey almost 4 years ago of coming back into my body, I started looking at, I didn't even know what somatic meant. So I started doing somatic trainings. I started attending breath work classes. Soma is body. So it's literally, for me, this is how I define it. It's working with the body's energy and the energy of all the internal organs and the tissues and the muscles, and it's learning different techniques. Breath work is one of them. I use tuning forks. Um, I do tapping, emotional freedom tapping, getting different things into the body by using, the meridian points. Um, So I'm still exploring this and I'm not an expert, but I do think I'm a guide. I think I can guide people. I came to a realization many years ago when I first started psychology is I realized I can't take one of my clients anywhere that I haven't been first. I
Mhm.
can't take them further than I've been myself. And so it
Yep.
always has inspired me to learn more about the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, the spiritual body, the etheric body. We have all these bodies, and it all makes up this experience of being human, and it's fascinating. It's a rabbit hole. Um, but helping people connect with their bodies, what my experience was in traditional counseling is people were, and myself included, so disconnected from their bodies. I would ask them, well, how does that make you feel? They didn't know. They didn't even have emotions to describe their feelings. Well, where do you feel it in your body? And they couldn't pinpoint anything in their body. And there's all these different modalities, EMDR and ART. There's different things to help people get in their body through eye movement and um but it takes a lot. It takes a lot of those sessions.
Yep.
So I'm recently been studying sound and how sound is used to heal the body and the organs and to bring things back in alignment and adjust the frequencies of the body when things get out of balance. So yeah, I'm still learning, and it's a fascinating topic for me personally because of everything I've been through with my physical body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, because I think most cancer survivors would tell you, if I got on the other side of it, I don't want to ever go back through that. And we know the statistics of cancer recurring and coming back. And MD Anderson would never even say I was healed or in remission. They would just say, well, we don't find any cancer cells on your scans, which is great. But yeah, I don't want to have to go back to that place where my body was screaming at me and toxic and unhealthy and out of balance and not connected.
Yeah. Do you want to kind of start like, so I want to respect the journey that you would like to share and what parts of it you would like to share. So if you want to go back to the beginning of whatever's comfortable for you, and maybe you can start with that and share with our listeners from the beginning of the journey.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I, I I'd like to say that my spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening, whatever language you want to say, happened almost 4 years ago. Um, Using psilocybin as a medicine. It was 2022. I had been working just insane hours as a counselor through the pandemic and the lockdown. We were one of the only counseling centers that saw clients face to face. And in marriage therapy, you can just imagine the things that we were seeing. And so I really got burnt out, and I wanted to be everyone's hero and savior. And um, I just fell into I think what I know now is I was in adrenal fatigue. I would come home at 6:30 every night and go straight to bed, just checked out of life. And a friend of mine observed this for many months and called me up one day and said, I want to tell you about something that I think would really help you. And I had heard of mushrooms when I was in college, um, but this was administered by a nurse, a professional nurse, that sat with me the entire time. And that one experience really shifted me neurologically. And I was able to see things that had been there all along, but I couldn't see them. And a lot of healing happened, a lot of healing. And it was all from just receiving truth in this ceremony of the situation and who I was, and what was going on in my life that was causing all the stress. And so I came out of that ceremony and resigned from my job at the counseling center, because I saw in that experience that it was going to take me out. I couldn't keep functioning like that.
So would you say
Mm.
that that experience kind of like was you stepping outside of your body and looking in? Is
Yeah,
that good?
there's an interesting thing that happens in these situations where you take psychedelics is the ego mind turns off.
Mhm.
And I call it the sacred witness. There's a part of you, your eternal soul, and this is all from my perspective and experience, that is watching things and is seeing things and is communicating with source, God. For me, that was my experience. And so my higher self came online fully and was showing me timelines of the last 10 years of my life, and things that I needed to address if I was going to um, be in a place where I could, live in harmony and love and beauty. I was so out of balance in my life, my personal life, and in my professional life, I'm sure. Um, so, yeah. And after that experience, I started microdosing, which, for those of you who don't know, your audience members, microdosing psilocybin is taking a mini dose. You don't feel anything, you don't have any psychedelics, you're fully functioning, but it's working in the background, creating new neural pathways. We know our brain has the ability to regenerate, neuroplasticity, all those good things. So it was literally rewiring my brain without me having to do hours and hours and hours of cognitive behavior therapy. Now, I did do my own personal work, right? And I'm fortunate. I've studied a lot of these tools in psychology, and I'm a big journaler, and I see a counselor for my personal use. And so I was working through a lot of things and tearing down paradigms and looking at that doesn't work for me anymore. But I didn't have that ability before, for a lot of different reasons. For me, that experience with psilocybin was almost like rotor rooting your pipes in your bathroom to
Mhm.
flush out a clog.
Mhm.
Just push something through, which I now understand it shifted my energy in a lot of different ways so that I could show up differently. And so so yeah, the microdosing I did for a couple of months, and I believe that really helped me. And I started making all kinds of changes in my life. Um, and yeah, one of those changes was to get out of a marriage relationship that was over, and I knew it was over, but I was hanging on. And so, um,
Was this all before you all these, like, changes that you started making before you were diagnosed?
mhm,
Yes, okay.
yes. So the diagnosis was in 2024, in January of 2024, and my awakening was in March of 2022.
Wow.
So about 2 years of me doing some intense work and experiencing some things, and then closing out some relationships that needed to be closed out, and contracts that were over, um and in the middle of that divorce is when I got diagnosed. And so it wasn't just going through a cancer diagnosis and chemotherapy, it was
Uh,
dissolving a 34-year marriage to an amazing human being who is a father and grandfather to our family. And so it was, for some reason, I signed up to come do a fast track healing. Um,
wow.
and it's interesting because the cancer diagnosis was non Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a blood cancer. And my MD Anderson doctor said that the interesting thing about non Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer is it lives in the body for up to 7 years undetected. So in 2024, it manifested in a big tumor on my neck and excruciating pain. But the reality of it was probably in my body as early as 2017, 2016, just we don't know. And I've always had a lot of energy and been able to push through things, and I'm a go-getter and started lots of businesses, and I know how to disassociate from my body and just grind it out. So I like to tell people that um, I believe cancer came to teach me some really, really valuable lessons that I may not have learned otherwise.
Mm.
And was to slow the fuck down.
So how has it changed your relationship with your body?
I have so much appreciation for my body now. I've I've had a lifetime of shame in my body, which I think most American women can identify with. Um, all kinds of body hangups. I even thought I had body dysmorphia at one point. That's the thing about studying psychology. You self-diagnose yourself with
Yeah.
all of these disorders that you read about.
Yeah.
But I remember my counselor telling me, "I want you to stand naked in front of your mirror and look at yourself." And I could not do that. I couldn't do that. I mean, the lights had to be out during intimacy times with the husband, and, I didn't look at myself naked ever. So yeah, cancer showed me, how to respect my body in a way that I'd never respected my body, and it also showed me how amazing our bodies are,
Yeah.
that how amazing we're built and made. And I mean, just the fact that we're able to pump liters and liters and liters of poison, chemotherapy is poison, into our body and live on the other side of it. I mean, that's a miracle that the human body is created to live. And so so yeah, I have so much more self-love today than I did 2 years ago. Um, and so I'm grateful for cancer, and that was my mindset from the very beginning. I I've always had a very strong faith in that everything's going to work out for my good, because I know that I'm a child of God, and I know I'm here for a reason. And so, good, bad, or ugly, there must be a reason why this cancer came knocking on my door. And so I chose from the very beginning to embrace this situation and make the best of it,
Yeah.
and use all the tools at my disposal, my community and resources, to walk me through. Um, it truly, I mean, I know we say Maya Angelou's quote all the time, it takes a village, right? And so I'm very fortunate that I've always had a very strong spiritual community around me. And since I talk to a lot of cancer survivors and cancer patients now, so many people don't have that. And that is really, really sad, because I believe that's at least 50% of the healing process, is having a community to support you. And yeah, I
Yeah.
lived by myself and I needed help. I needed someone to cook for me. I needed someone to help clean me up when I had been throwing up for hours. I needed someone to drive me to the emergency room when I got an infection in my arm from the needles. And I just, my heart really is tender for people that don't have that. And there are so many people that don't have that, that are going through major health crises.
Mm.
What would you say is the
So
hardest part of that journey that people don't talk about?
the mind, the mind torture that can happen
Mm.
for me, and it's got to be different for everyone. I think it was, I look at it now, it was a blessing that I was dissociated somewhat from my body. Um, and I have a really high pain tolerance, which is unusual. So that worked to my advantage in this case. But the mind and the darkness that would just, I remember I'd be in my apartment all alone, and just, I would feel this heavy blanket. You're not going to make it. This is going to kill you. All the thoughts, and they would just be floating across my mind nonstop. And all of my counseling tools, my psychology tools, I couldn't get that to shut up. And what I know now is it wasn't all mine,
Mhm.
but at the moment, boy, it sure does. And it made me understand why people take their lives, why people commit suicide. I never understood that. And now I understand, when you have a barrage of dark thoughts and you're resisting and resisting and resisting, that only makes it worse. And
Being that you did go through that, which I'm very sorry that you did have to go through that. Is there something you can tell people that might be going through that, how they can better survive those thoughts?
yes, for me, I would always call a friend or one of my spiritual teachers. And I would watch YouTube videos. I would watch sound bowl videos on YouTube. I would listen to, I know this sounds kind of morbid, but I would listen to those near death experiences videos on YouTube, you know, because in my mind, I thought, okay, well, there's a good chance I might die. There was this preparation I felt to prepare myself for physical death. And it interestingly brought me a lot of peace, listening
Mhm.
to people that had these encounters with the light, with God, with love. And
Do you
I
feel
I
like it was
have,
more resist or surrender that you were in?
at first it was definitely resist. Yeah. And I couldn't resist anymore. I'd reached my capacity, and then that's when the surrender came. Yeah.
Mm.
The surrender came in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
um my beautiful family, I know, thinks some interesting things about me. So 3 months into treatment, I decided I could not live by myself anymore, so I moved myself onto an ashram in Houston, in the middle of Houston, Texas, with these beautiful Hindu, Indian, Krishna servants. And there was an elderly woman I moved in with so she could take care of me.
Wow.
And I surrendered what everyone was going to think about that. Because I knew that there was a good chance I wasn't going to survive unless I did something pretty drastic. And it paid off. It got me through. That spiritual community held a lot of uh, prayer vigils for me.
Wow.
I got a beautiful gift of COVID at the very end, and it was the worst COVID ever because my immune system is totally shot, right? Because that's what chemotherapy does. And I'm wearing the masks and I'm doing everything. I'm living on an ashram. I'm isolated. I thought I was pretty safe. And I literally had one treatment left in August of 2024. And I got COVID a week before that scheduled treatment. And that's, I think, the last fingernails came off the grip. Because I remember just sitting outside on the steps of this little wooden house that I lived on. And one of the monks walked by and he looked at me and he said, "Good morning, Montaji." And I couldn't even talk to him. And he just kept walking. I didn't expect him to stop, but I thought this is it. Like it was just in that moment of like I couldn't surrender any more than I could at that moment. And I would go back in my room and chant for hours on my mala beads, just chanting and chanting and chanting. And I just didn't know I was capable of chanting that much. It was good that I had a fever and I was kind of delirious because my body didn't want to move. And about 10 days I recovered and my MD Anderson doctor said, "Great, one more treatment left." And I was like, no, no more treatments. And he was very adamant and I got some wise counsel that all encouraged me to do the last treatment. And so I did. And I moved back in with my ex-husband and slept for 45 days solid in his spare bedroom. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And so that tells you the kind of relationship we have. Like, even though we dissolved our contract, he came and picked me up from the ashram, calling me crazy and all the things, for doing that. If you had been with me all along, this would have not happened, right? All that stuff. And just take me to the guest bedroom and let me sleep. And so, the last 14 months have been me rebuilding my physical body, my emotional body, my spiritual body, my mental body. That's what people don't really tell you is the rebuild. And for me, the rebuild is so important because I don't want to go back to that place because the type of cancer I was diagnosed with has a high percentage of coming back. And so every 6 months, they want me to go through all these tests and dyes and scans that for me, I have refused. um, and so I've got to step it up on the other side and different things like with nutrition and what I'm thinking on and the foods I'm putting in my body and the things I'm putting on my skin, like all of my research about lymphoma. Ladies, I used to buy gallons of Roundup and spray all the weeds in my yard. I was so obsessed with having this manicured, beautiful yard of the month, the whole thing, right? Suburbia. And I was approached by a legal team to be a part of a lawsuit because they are there is evidence that lymphoma cancer is directly related to Roundup.
Wow.
And so I'm not saying that Roundup caused cancer, but it certainly could have been a contributing factor, especially because I used it a lot. We lived on 5 acres and everything was manicured. So little things like that. The soap on the skin and the toothpaste and the deodorants. Like I've gotten really, really radical, and that's changed my circle of friends, sadly, and family, because they
Mm.
don't understand that. So there's another surrender, right? There's another
Yeah.
surrender is
So it sounds like a
Yeah.
whole
doing
new
what,
part of you has emerged from this. Like you left, it
yeah,
sounds like you left a
and
lot behind. And yeah.
it's still emerging. I really see it's this lotus bloom. We know lotus flowers grow in the mud, and it's this blossom. And the other thing people don't tell you, that I didn't hear anyone talk about that had gone through cancer, is the brain fog from all the steroids they've got you on. So steroids are a pretty standard protocol while you take chemotherapy, because we don't want the body to have an allergic reaction. So we give you lots of Benadryl and like Benadryl. Like they were giving me Benadryl and then just steroid injections and steroid pills. Well, long term, that stuff is it messes with your mind. Like I could not think properly for at least a year. Like I feel like my mind is just now, I can do tasks, I can stay on focus and get something completed. Detoxing all of those chemicals out of my body was huge. And that is another, I'm a pretty radical person if y'all haven't figured that out. So August of 2024, I finished my last chemotherapy. I moved out of Houston into a small town because I knew I wanted to connect with nature. I knew I had to get outside. That's, for me, has always been where my spiritual connection is with source, God, and myself. And then I started researching places I could go to detox. And I found a place in Costa Rica that I went last February, um, for 31 days, and lived off grid, no electronics, no Wi-Fi, no internet, um, no hot water. I lived in a tent. The only beverage I drank for over 30 days was water that came out of this mountain that I was on in the jungle of Costa Rica. So clean water, fasting, only vegetables, no salt, no sugar, no caffeine, like intense stuff for 30 days, and meditation. That was the other component of this retreat, was 12 to 15 hours of meditation a day
Wow.
to, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
slow down
How did you,
the nervous system.
what was the, oh my gosh, that's very extreme
Intense.
and very impressive. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. But how do you think you went, the difference between the hero that went in and out came out? I'm dying to know like what you really felt that came out of that 31 days. So it has to be pretty big.
Yes, well, my name change came out, and so when I came off that mountain, I started introducing myself as Zahira, which was a name that had been given to me by my Sufi teacher, previous in my initiation ceremony. And I used it in my Sufi community, but my everyday life, I didn't use it. And in my meditations, Zahira is Arabic and it means divine light. And for me, that was my intention in my meditations was to get to this divine light, this place of love, this frequency and vibration above all the earthly things, right? And I have a very strong Christian upbringing and Southern
That's
Baptist. God bless you. And one of Jesus's teachings was set your mind on things above, not on the things of this earth. I've read that a gazillion million times. Didn't really fully know what it meant until I started being intentional about meditating for hours on things above, not on the things of this earth, which is where cancer is, and war, and division, and hatred, and toxicity. And so we know that it takes 21 days to create a new habit. And we know the brain has neuroplasticity. If you do something one way for a certain amount of time, you're going to make a groove and a new neural pathway. And so, yeah, I did come off that mountain very, very changed. And I had a hard time coming back into this 3D realm in Texas. It was really difficult. And
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be so difficult. Yeah.
How did you deal with that? I can't even imagine.
Um, I just fortunately, I have not worked, technically worked in 2 years. So I had the financial freedom to just continue meditating in the little town that I live in. I, again, go up into nature and just um, meditate, practice mindfulness, be out in nature, laugh. And I kept unplugged. I stayed off of social media and the internet and all of that, to kind of acclimate myself back in. As I remember when I got off the plane in Houston, my daughter picked me up. And Houston, the billboards and the lights. It was at night, and I was just like, "Oh my God, please just get us home." Like, went and stayed with her. I was like, "I can't be out in public."
Yeah, I bet. It's too stimulating.
It was very stimulating. So I learned a lot, and I'm still learning. For those who follow astrology, my ascendant sign is Sagittarius. So I'm a Sag rising, and I love adventure. I love to learn. I love to walk on the edge. I like things that are intense,
I love
obviously.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, in my experience in Costa Rica, I was the oldest person there. So I was 59 when I went. I turned 60 this summer, but there was 23-year-olds there was 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, and then there's 59-year-old Lisa that 6 months sober from chemo treatment. And, just sitting cross-legged for hours was excruciating, because here's something they don't tell you. There's another good answer, Susie. Chemotherapy literally leaches everything out of your bones. So a lot of people have bone aches and tendinitis and all this when they finish chemotherapy. And it's excruciating. I remember telling my doctor, I feel like I'm 100 years old. My bones, like, just to walk up the stairs, it was like, so just to go and sit for 6 hours on a maloca on the ground was, but this is what I learned about the human body is when we give the human body the things it needs, like good air, water, and food, and love, it will adjust. And so I would tell my body, it's okay. It's okay. I would put my hands on my body and just say, I love you. We're going to get through this. After about 2 weeks, I swallowed my pride and asked for a slingback chair, because I wanted to be like everyone else who's sitting on the ground. And my yoga teacher said, thank you for asking. we were wondering when you were going to ask. I was like, yeah, it took me 2 weeks to get past that ego, but I will take that slingback chair now. And I used it faithfully for the next. But our body can overcome so much. And I didn't know that. I knew I could overcome a lot of mental stuff because of my spiritual background. But I didn't know that the physical body is capable of overcoming way more than we realize.
Mm-hmm.
At least way more than I realized about
Mm-hmm.
myself. And I've given birth 4 times. I mean, my body has done a lot of amazing things. Um, and so I do have a deep, deep respect for my physical body and for other people's physical body.
Mm.
So there's an element of judgment that is gone, that I left on that mountaintop. Judging other women's bodies, comparing my bodies to other women's bodies, comparing my body to a man's body, like all the things socially that we do that we don't talk about, the magazines and the culture that we're in.
Yeah.
And I realized that did not serve me well, and I'm going to leave that on that mountain. And now, if I can catch myself, I'll be out and I'll see somebody and I'll look at them physically and I can feel my mind starting to make a judgment and I'll catch it. And for me, what works is to physically turn my head and go, nope, nope, non-judgmental mind, love, love, love. And then I just open my heart and just beam love at that person.
Mm.
And so that's been a beautiful practice that I learned in Costa Rica that I've got to bring back in my everyday life. And that is freedom. Because when I don't judge myself, I'm not judging you. And I think I said this the last time I was on here. I don't know. I tell this to so many people. It's my personal belief. I'll own it as mine that every woman should shave their head once in their lifetime. So, my hair fell out, shaved it. So to walk around in Houston, Texas as a bald older woman was very humbling,
Mm.
very humbling. And to learn how to be okay with that and to hold my head up and to
Mm.
just notice how people treated me differently.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's very hard for me not to burst into tears listening to you.
Yeah.
It's built a
Because
lot of compassion. And so anytime I see someone with a headscarf, a woman or a man, I will go and talk to them because I know. I know now what's going on, right? And I don't even have to say words. I can just stand and look at them in the eye and offer a hug if they want a hug. Because when you go through something like that, it can either make you hard and bitter and resentful, which I've seen, or there's that surrender piece where for me, I just let it crack my heart open.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
we did have a female guest on our show. I'm not going to mention the name because they did not share the story on the podcast. However, prior to the podcast, we had a long conversation and they did share with me that they shaved their head not because of chemotherapy or anything, but felt this calling to do that, like left the corporate world and went into, you know, delved into the world of spirituality and all of that and just felt a calling to do that and to feel a sense of, you know, almost like vulnerability. And they said it was an amazing, amazing experience. They were very happy that they did it. Yeah.
yeah. And again, our hair grows back. Obviously, I've decided to keep mine short for now. And that what's interesting is I didn't know this at the time, but when I moved on to the ashram, I was bald. And that is a part of their culture. The older women shave their head in their 50s and 60s. And it's this sign of austerity. I am naked before God. And, they always had their scarf veils, but no one blinked an eye at me. All the men and women there that I was bald. They thought I did it for spiritual reasons. They didn't know I had cancer.
Yeah.
I was like, again, it's all in like just perspective and finding a community that lines up with your values and where you're at. And they supported me, in that. And all the older in Hindi women gave me their beautiful sari scarves from India to wear. And, I always had these beautiful headscarves wrapped around my head. It was gorgeous. It is also 100 degrees in Houston, Texas in the summer, so I didn't wear them too often.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
But
bet.
yeah, it's to shave your head.
Yeah, I have thought about it many times, actually.
This is just our DNA, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's dead, and I wanted a fresh start. So you're cutting off, literally shedding layers of your DNA, your hair, your skin. The chemotherapy, I'm sure, came through in my nails and skin and hair. So yeah, to shave all that off, it felt actually really good to get that toxic stuff off of my
Yeah, yeah.
body.
Mm,
Wow.
Yeah.
wow.
I feel like Jenny's wheels are
It's so
So
spinning right
many
impressive.
now.
things, so many
So many
things.
well, I'm I love hearing your boldness,
Yes.
and going into an ashram, just saying, I'm diving in here. I'm going to Costa Rica for this healing." And that I can imagine really saved you in so many ways and has obviously changed you in many ways. And to even be in the place in the very beginning when you were first diagnosed, and my best friend was diagnosed with cancer last year as well. So last year. And the same thing, I happened to be on the phone with her right when her doctor called on the other line to tell her, and then she gets back online with me and says, "Yeah, I have cancer." And but right away, the next statement was, "Well, it's okay. I'm gonna," it's the kind of how you just shared of, there's a reason for this. I'm gonna focus on my healing, and I'm not gonna go into the darkness in this. I'm gonna stay in the light, and I'm gonna trust that this is here for a reason, and there's something for me to learn within myself because of this experience. And man, it was impressive. And I do agree. I do feel like dissociation is at some point in that process of going through chemo or whatever you have to go through, surgeries, is to kind of separate yourself a little bit from it to get through it, and then regroup and reorganize yourself and realign yourself and learn from it. And so it makes sense to me that you're sharing it in that way and that you have that experience, because how else do you move through this from in the highest perspective, right? And not play a victim and not go into the darkness in it, and
Yeah.
gather your friends and family community of, I need support, and not be afraid to ask, because I know for us as women, we can be really afraid to ask for help, thinking we can do it all, we don't need. I have definitely have struggled with that in my life of like, I don't, I'm not gonna be vulnerable. Everybody's vulnerable with me, and I can share, being a counselor and doing what I do is the same thing as like, I don't need anybody. I can be there for, but no, come on, that's ridiculous. Like, we all need each other, and sometimes we really need to fall in a puddle and somebody to help us, you know, be lifted back up.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the mindset going into the diagnosis and treatment. I'm a very practical person, so I'll just share this if someone can use this tool. I wrote out on index cards before my first treatment and then carried them in with me in my backpack, but I wrote out, like, every person in MD Anderson that lays their hands on me is laying their hands on me for my highest and best good and healing. Every needle that gets poked into my body is gonna be a needle for love and healing. Like, I went through the whole thing, um, and then when I started taking the treatment, they give you your own little room, and you're hooked up to an IV, for many, many hours. I would ask the nurse to lay hands on those bags with me and come into agreement that these chemicals that were going to drip into my body were going to be for my healing. And I got very specific, and I had a different nurse every time. Not one nurse turned me down, no matter what they believed spiritually or anything. They would, you know, God bless all those chemotherapy nurses. They're amazing.
They're
And so
angels,
I
right?
believe that they are. Our words have power, and so to speak those words over liquid chemicals that are going in my body, I wanted to change the molecules of those chemicals and create new frequencies as they were dripping in. And I believe that was part of it too. And I would encourage anyone, to experiment with that, with these types of practices of using your own sovereignty and power and creating the life that you want. So what I've known and really come to realize is how powerful we are, how creative we are. And I know for me in Western Christianity, being raised in the Bible Belt, God was always out there. Jesus is out there. God the Father's out there. Sometimes the Holy Spirit is inside of me, but sometimes he leaves because I might sin. So everything was always external. And that was something that came through in that first psilocybin journey for me is God is in me. I'm one with God. I am divine because God is divine and divineness lives in me. Therefore, I am divine. And if I'm divine, then I can create. And if I can create, how much can I dream? Let's dream so I can create. So to dream a body free, I did a lot of visualizations of literally visualizing little Pac-Men coming into my body and eating up the cancer cells all over my body. Um, I believe that's very effective. The brain doesn't know if it's real or not. If you visualize something, it just is like, okay, we're going with this. It's creating the energy and the result. Um, but yeah, I did lots of visualizations, and that was real helpful too. During treatment and after treatment, before treatment.
Zahira, you did like everything right.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that you did is so it's spot on, effective and amazing and works. I mean, that's the work. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, hopefully, even if you just do one of those things, you can get amazing benefits. For me, yeah, I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of person. I've always been that way. So, and I like to experiment and see what works for me and what doesn't work. And so, what works for me might be different than what works for you. And because each one of our bodies are different. Um, and the foods, I can't eat certain foods anymore. 'Cause I found out I don't have a specific enzyme that is needed to break it down. Well, who would have known that? But because of my blood type, I don't have this enzyme, so therefore I need to stay away from this entire very popular food group that
Uh,
I've been eating my whole life. And once I cut that out, it made a huge difference because
So
that
there's a
causes inflammation.
specific blood type that anybody's has that blood type it's not good for.
Yes.
Will you share what that is?
Yeah, it's B positive. So I went to an iridologist, someone that reads the eyes,
Mhm.
and, had a lot of inflammation. She actually told me 8 years ago that I had the beginnings of an autoimmune disorder. She could see it in my eyes, and she said, "I'm not saying you have an autoimmune disorder, but I can see the beginning signs, so I want you to change your diet immediately and take these things and eliminate these things," and I did, and it worked, um, until I stopped eating the way I was supposed to be eating, and I introduced sugar back into my diet. Full transparency, during 2020, I drank a lot of alcohol. But if you would have asked me at the time if I was out of balance in my alcohol consumption, I would have been like, no, I go to work every day. I still have a child at home. Like, I've got this under control. But alcohol has so much sugar, which causes inflammation. And then
Mhm.
just the stress causes cortisol. And excess amounts of cortisol causes inflammation in the body. So it's just like learning all of these things that I think most of us don't think about because we're just doing our life. Like,
Yep.
and we're so used to the American diet and the American culture, and we just we're just doing it.
Mhm. And yet we have the highest cancer rates in the country in the world
And
because of our
obesity.
diet and our lifestyle here. Mhm.
And we have the most amazing cancer hospitals in the nation. I
We
mean,
do.
I met people at MD Anderson that were from every country across, and they fly to Houston, Texas to go to MD Anderson. And yet, we, you want to know what my cancer doctor told me? And I
What?
love my cancer doctor. He was from Nigeria. He was young. He was a whippersnapper. But I remember that first appointment with him when the diagnosis was actually confirmed with all the tests. I said, "Oh, well, I've heard that cancer loves sugar, so I should cut out all sugar, right?" And he's like, "No, you're fine." And I was like, "Well, what kind of modifications do I need to make in my diet?" And he's like, "Well, you'll figure it out as you go along, what you can tolerate, but we don't tell anybody to take anything out of their diet." Okay. Wow, this is a cutting edge research hospital, and I have nothing to say. I would go back to MD Anderson, and I would tell my loved ones to go there. But the mentality of that is just it's sad. So MD Anderson is like amazing. It's like 12 stories. It's 5 city blocks. It's this massive city within a city. And on one of the floors, they give out free coffee and free cookies and free candy and free, right? Because everyone's in there. It's heavy in there. People are passed out. People are crying. People are walking around with IV poles. I mean, it's like a war zone. But you've got the volunteers passing out candy and cookies and croissants and coffees, acid, and we're
What?
all just throwing it back.
Oh, Zahira.
Because the human body wants comfort when it's suffering, and we were all suffering. And
Yeah.
so sugar is a comfort, I have learned.
Yes, it
Like,
is.
and I also know from psychology, you can't take away everyone's comfort at once. Their coping
Mm-mm.
mechanisms, we would crash, right? But it's just the irony. It's kind of comical to me now on the other side. And I took all of that. I couldn't wait to get there and on my appointment days and have my free coffee and yeah,
Mhm. I
with
get
my
it. But
cookies
it was like you were surviving, you were that was comfort, if there's something to look for if there's nothing to look forward to going there except for that, right? I mean, that
yeah,
makes sense. But at the
and
same
balance.
time, it's, not good for the body and how the ca I had a client many, many years ago who went through cancer treatments, and she got on this kick around the styrofoam, you know,
Mhm.
the food in and the hot drinks, the beverages, and she would say the same was talking about being in the I don't know if she went to MD Anderson, I don't recall at this time, but it was in Texas, where she was, and, um, that how can they she was trying to get them to stop serving styrofoam, like, they're putting hot drinks, beverages in there and all those chemicals, and you're drinking the chemicals, and it's I mean, it's just so interesting that they don't
Yeah.
particularly look at these things that are so powerful and important. They
Well, like,
overlook that because they're looking at how to I get it, I get
yeah.
it, but there's such more depth and more that they could implement that could be
Yeah.
helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And too, I think for me, I knew I had an awareness that it wasn't the best thing to put in my body. And so outside of MD Anderson, I didn't eat sugar and coffee, right? That I indulged and allowed myself that comfort while I was there. And so too, even just for me, I used to be real black and white, like, no, yes. And now I'm like, yes, and like it's
Yes.
harmony, it's balance, it's all things working in a synergy for the good. And so, yeah, that's one thing that I've learned a lot about is really what harmony looks like. I knew the definition of what harmony is, but harmony in my body, harmony with food and harmony in my relationships and yeah, yeah, I have a lot of compassion for people and if we want to go back to the high esoteric thinking, for whatever reason, I was supposed to survive because there's some things that I'm supposed to do here apparently.
Mhm.
My
Mhm.
contract is not up,
Yep.
although there I wanted it to be. And some people, that's part of their journey is everyone's on their own path. Everyone's on their own journey. And so, yeah.
What is the if you could say the greatest, the biggest lesson from all of this, like, what is the top lesson you would, mm, maybe feel that is
Mm.
was most important for you through all of this experience?
Never give up. Never give up. There's always hope. And when you go through something like this, a divorce where, my case, all my Christian friends turned against me, my family, my children were upset with me, and I could have given up. It would have been really easy. And so, yeah,
Mm,
um, to not give up until you've exhausted all like we know when it's time to throw in the towel. I really believe that as humans. I've seen enough people pass over
mm,
and drop the body that there is just some sort of a knowing when it's time. And so maybe I'll rephrase that to say, don't give up until you know when it's your turn to give up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And really, you're giving up is magnificent eternal life off of this planet.
Zahira, what motivates you now in a way that it didn't before?
What motivates me now? Gosh, one thing, so many things motivate me, but just the possibility of observing how love can change everything.
Mm,
And that may sound so like, woo, but I've come up with a new little mantra is keep your love on. Like keeping the heart open to love because love can do all kinds of really amazing, magical, mysterious things.
absolutely.
And I look forward to the day every day now because I don't know what kind of magic's gonna happen. I don't know what is around the corner because I've learned and I'm still learning how to be in the every moment, to be present in the moment. And when you're present in the moment, you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it's exciting and you feel like a child again.
It is
Yeah.
exciting. I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the only way I can stay in that place is by having an intention of love, because the opposite is fear, and fear closes the doors to all possibilities, and fear divides, and we can't create out of fear. We can only create out of love. And so I believe that's
Mhm.
my experience and belief.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and take yourself on an adventure. I have 3 adult daughters, and, I've always told them, "You can be anything and do anything you want, and just go on an adventure." Who cares what people think or say? Like, just do it, live your life. You only have 1 life in this physical body. I believe we have many lives, but for this one, let's have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even in our suffering, we can still have fun. I mean, even in my greatest moments of pain, excruciating physical pain and suffering, there was still I could still look at my life and say, "Well, I've never done this before. This is fun. This is interesting. Don't know how this one's gonna turn out."
Wow. That's so incredible, Zahira. You are an inspiration,
Oh my
really.
gosh. So, so
Oh.
incredibly inspiring. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
What do you hope that people understand about healing?
That it takes time, takes a lot of time. And and here's the thing, the higher up these spiritual paths you go, there is no such thing as time. But the time in the sense of this 3D world that we live in, um, I want things right now, yesterday, fast food, microwaves, drive-throughs, we want it now. And that's not how it works. I'm learning, even as much as I want it to be something otherwise. So, yeah, just
Mm.
relax, just lean back in your easy chair and embrace. And yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Oh, amazing.
Yep. I'm so grateful that you shared, and again, I'll say it. I think this is going to be one of the most important episodes that we put out there for people to listen and learn and get inspired from, because even if you don't have anyone, or you're in a position right now where this may not sound familiar to you, it's still inspiring. It's so inspiring in so many ways, so many lessons and to learn from what you've shared with us today.
Mhm.
Well, I'm happy that other people can benefit. Um, and one last thing I wanted to share about that I find very interesting in learning about the body and um, the energy centers in the body. So I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a blood cancer, and it was all in my throat and in my the diaphragm right here. All the scans. And the doctor was amazed because usually lymphoma spreads, it gets in the bone marrow, it gets everywhere. And he was like, wow, this is literally all in your throat and in your diaphragm. And when
Mm.
I walked away from that, I thought that's not lost on me because I study the energy centers in the body, the throat chakra, and I realized how much I was keeping my mouth closed and I wasn't using my voice and I wasn't moving energy through that center and speaking authentic truth. I was pretending and I was masking, and I wanted people to think I was one thing, but I'm really something else over here.
Mm.
And that was really huge for me to understand that a lot of times these diseases occur in the physical body and their roots are found in our belief systems, in our obstacles, the strongholds in our life. the toxicity of our life, and our body manifests it in places, I believe, to get our attention, and um, that each of our organs um, have a very specific function, and they hold our emotions, they hold our energy, and um, yeah, right after my diagnosis, a very good friend of mine got diagnosed with gallbladder and bile duct cancer. Well, he's the type of person that holds everything in. And what he's holding in is a lot of anger and unprocessed forgiveness from his childhood. And the gallbladder and bile duct just exploded and was filled with cancer cells. And so his journey looked really different than mine because his journey was going through uh, releasing a lot of anger and releasing a lot of unforgiveness that he had been holding on to for decades. And I would like to say on the other side, he's cancer free because he did a lot of internal work while he went through chemotherapy and radiation. And so, yeah, just looking at all facets of the humanness that we
Mhm.
are.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's the most important thing that I feel like that people need to hear is the importance of taking care of our mental and emotional bodies because it affects our physical bodies. I talk about this daily, daily. And, you know, how they're not separated. We are all intertwined. And so when we do hold those heavy emotions and we shove them down, there's no way they cannot affect our physical body after a period of time, right? That example is spot on. And I think that we need to take more responsibility for all of our bodies and work with ourselves in a very deep way. And we don't because we weren't taught that. And I know you do that and we both do that in our practice, our private practices of helping people to not dissociate with emotions and mind and physical stuff, all of it. We need to become more mm, understanding our wholeness and all the parts of us and how they're related and how much control we actually have of our inner world and
Mhm.
taking back that empowerment and realizing that. And it's not to say, I mean, I know that there's a lot of documentaries out there around all of this and the mind control and manifestation and visualization and all of that is really powerful to know that we can heal ourselves. There's proof that we can heal ourselves. It takes a lot of willpower and a lot of focused attention, but it's everything. I mean, you look at some major people out there who've been touting this, like Joe Dispenza. Dr. Joe Dispenza healed himself.
Yeah.
There's a few other people I know who've done that are in the world of our spiritual world who've healed themselves when the doctors have said, "There's no way. I'm sorry, you're gone."
Mhm.
And it's not. It's just it's very important to hear this and understand that there I it's so difficult because, it's hard to take that ownership of like, "Oh, cancer's I did that to myself." It's a part of our healing. It's a part of our awakening. And you knew that from the start. A lot of people don't. They go right into being a victim and how could this happen to me? And I did all the right things, I thought, and I'm healthy and I tried. And how could this be my diagnosis? I mean, people are getting diagnosed. How many people a day? I can't even imagine get diagnosed with cancer. And it's not that you want to say you just want to take ownership and say, okay, how can I can heal myself along with the doctors. I
Mhm.
have to do my own inner work. This is
Mhm.
not just give me the chemo, give me the drugs and I'll be okay. It's let's go deeper into what is going on for you emotionally and mentally and what have you not dealt with in your life and faced. Anyway,
Yeah. Joe
I
Dispenza's explanation on that is literally he asks the question, Can we make ourselves sick? Yes, we can. Well, if we can make ourselves sick, then can we make ourselves better? The answer is yes, we can. But we've always been trained and accustomed to we make ourselves sick by, things we do and or don't do. And then in the same aspect, we can also heal ourselves, but we're just so used to the opposite. And I think Zahira, you're a beautiful example of that. All of the things that you did to engage in your own healing. And yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And so if I can do it, anyone can do it. I'm really not special. I might have been
I beg to
born
differ,
with
but
a strong will. Um, but I think that's just because I've lived so many lifetimes. I'm like, we're getting this karma finished in this lifetime. I'm not going to do this again. Um, but yeah, that's the good news is that in today's culture and society with the technology, there's so much available to us that they didn't even have 25 years ago. And the nutritional things and all the different nutritional products that I've found that I'd never even heard of that I take that are just cutting edge biohacking. You don't have to be a movie star. It's affordable stuff, but your insurance isn't going to cover it. You're going to have to pay cash for it. But, there's things out there now for our physical bodies that we didn't even have 25 years ago to help us get into homeostasis and stay in homeostasis. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm.
I'm really excited about this next chapter of my life because I mentioned I'm really into sound therapy and sound healing. And I have purchased a vibroacoustic light bed that clients will be able to come and lay on and have an amazing experience with headphones and music and a light, and the bed vibrates. One of the gentlemen that created this technology is a big guru and Dr. Joe Dispenza. So he has all the neuroscience behind taking the brain into theta and beta and even higher brain waves that psychedelics do, but not all of us can take psychedelics. But laying on a bed like this for 30 minutes can take your nervous system into a state of peace and help you rewire your brain. And so I'm just like excited that this technology is out there and it's affordable. And um, I'm going to have it for my small community for people to
wow.
experience, to heal. And yeah, we truly live in amazing times
Yeah.
for such a time as this. And I know there's crazy, wild stuff going on out there. It's the wild, wild west, as my good friend says. You better buckle up.
Yep. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
exciting.
exciting. It is exciting. Oh, I can't wait to try out that whenever I come in town next.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm calling in office space for 2026. I haven't had an office in 2 years. So I'm manifesting those dreams of being able to serve humanity in a bigger way than I have been. And
Oh,
Wow.
yeah,
Zahira, I'm so happy
so
that's
for
amazing.
you. I'm so happy for your story and where you are now. And you just seem like you are ready. You are ready for this next chapter in a big way. And I'm excited to see what you do.
well, thank you. And I hope, Jenny, you and I are just gotten to know each other over the last 6 months or so, but it makes me, it brings to remembrance the words that were channeled through the soul pod for me in our first session is, it's time to stop hiding. Those were the first words that Marlena spoke to me in the channeling session. And they were like, whew, like, yeah, I've been hiding. And rightly so, right? Part of my hiding has been so I can heal but it was a notice that the hiding is over. It's time. It's a new season. It's time to come out of that because you can get real comfortable in that little space. And I told some of my closest friends, I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like it in here. I can be a monk.
I was just going to say that. Please don't hide because you have so many beautiful gifts to offer. It's unbelievable. And that would be awful if you hid.
Oh. Well, I've jokingly said I'll go be a monk in a cave, or like the old woman in the Old Testament that just sat underneath the tree, and the wise people would come to her and say, "What do we do about this?" Like,
Oh, no,
but
no,
yes,
no.
no more hiding.
Yeah.
It's time to let our light shine. Yeah.
And you know what else it's time for? Rapid fire questions. Cue the music.
All right.
Cue the music. Woo woo. All right, Zahira, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Rapid fire questions for Zahira. Fight or flow?
Flow.
You can feel free to elaborate on anything, by the way. Sweet or salty?
Ooh, salty. Used to be sweet, but now I'm training my taste buds differently.
Rest or risk?
Oh, that's such a good one. It's been rest for a while, and now it's time to step out and do risk. So again, it's the balance, the harmony of risk and rest. That's good. It's a good question.
Phoenix or warrior?
This is so fun. I used to be the warrior. Now I'm the phoenix. It really is easier to be the phoenix, which I didn't believe that. I thought it would be easier to be the warrior. It's easier just to dissolve and completely die and then resurrect. Believe it or not, I'm living proof that surrender really does work. And you just burn your own house down and then you just.
Yeah.
And isn't that what women we do? Women have in us birth, life, death, birth, life, death. It's this cyclical thing within our DNA as women.
Mm-hmm.
And like, step into that. It's like, woo, that's where it starts getting juicy.
Yeah. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Yoga or dancing?
Oh gosh, I don't think I could dance without yoga. So I yoga first so that I can dance.
That's so funny. Messy or controlled?
Again, I used to be very controlling. Everything was controlled. And now I'm learning that messy, again, it's just a perspective. I judged it as messy. And now I'm like, I'm not going to judge it messy anymore. I'm going to judge it as beautiful. Wow, what a game changer. What the thing I thought was messy is actually beautiful.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love your mind. Okay. Scar or story?
Ooh, scar. Because the scar is the story, I think. I have a lot of scars.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise. Yeah, I'm a morning. I love climbing up at the back of our property and watching the sun come up over the canyon that we live in. And yeah, something about when the sun breaks over the dawn. It's powerful. The Hindu Indians that I lived with believe that's, and I know the Native American Indians believe this, that at 4:30, 5 o'clock, right before dawn, is the energy is so much stronger that your prayers will ascend even higher. So we would get up at 4:30 at the ashram and be in the temple at 4:30 in prayer and devotion and worship
Wow.
because of the energetic field right before the sunrise.
Huh.
Isn't that fascinating that
Yeah.
our ancestors have known this for literally thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and we stay all bundled up in our little cocooned houses with Wi-Fi going on, and
Yeah.
we wonder, "Where's God? Where's God?"
Yeah.
She's in the sunrise. That's where God is. She's in the sunrise. Go find her.
O- Okay. Alive feels like
Repeat.
alive feels like
Mm. Alive feels very juicy. Life feels juicy, flowy. Yeah, no more stagnant waters. It's flowing, it's juicy, it's sweet. It's colorful.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me a space to use my voice to authentically share. And it's part of the mission, apparently, that I'm here to accomplish.
Well, with
Um,
that, I will say
thank,
yes, we cannot thank you enough, Zahira. Amazing. One of my favorite episodes, truly. Truly, I feel very honored that you came on here to share this with us, because I'm sure that, it's probably emotional in a good way, healthy to let it out, like you said. And I want to know, is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with before we go?
ah, just keep your love on. Keep loving yourself, loving your neighbor, connecting with love, which is God, creator, source. Just be kind, extend grace, because I need lots of grace. So I tend to give a lot of grace because I know I need a lot of grace, or I want a lot of grace. So if all of us could just be more kind and graceful and loving, the planet would be better, I believe. Thank
And
you.
to our listeners, we just want to say thank you so much. We love you very much, and we are so excited to be with you for almost will be a year next week. And we will be celebrating with a special episode. Just stay tuned with us and what's going on next. And don't forget to subscribe, show us the love, and share it with your friends.
Aho. I love it. Love you both.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Sister Sessions podcast. If you found inspiration in today's conversation, we'd love it if you shared the episode with your besties, family, or even your favorite neighbors. We'll be back next week with more to share, but until then, remember, meditation is the key to unlocking your inner peace. All is well, friends. See you soon.